Yes, welcome to the No State Project live from my fortified compound here in Mesa, Arizona. Glad to be with you this rainy day in Mesa. Actually, I've been out here long enough that I actually appreciate the rain. I mean, growing up on Long Island and having it rain practically every day, it got to be kind of, yeah, that's one of the big selling points for moving out here from Long Island was that, hey, we're going to get like 350 days worth of sun a year. So that was a big thing. But now that I've been out here, yeah, occasionally having rain like this, it's pretty cool. So as everyone starts to file in, I appreciate that. Going to do things a little different here on the show. But if you do want to help support the show, and I do appreciate everyone's continued support, if you would like to be able to help, it is markstevens.net and markstevens.sales.com. And you can also, check out the website for a lot of the information that we usually discuss here on the show. I posted last week, finally, 4 success stories and a train wreck. So contrary to what some may think, I do not sell things where there's a guarantee that there's going to be any success. We've been able to replicate this success, but it doesn't mean you're not going to have a train wreck, because the train wrecks are there because, hey, guys, we are dealing with a criminal organization. And so I'm going to give the number out. It's in the show notes. I'm remembering to do that now. But I want to get back to what the show is supposed to be about. It's been almost nonstop, every single show, which is not a bad thing. But today, let's discuss anarchy. Let's discuss the problem. No calls today regarding court. So let's keep it to anarchy. Either you're for or against it, or maybe you don't understand what the hell anarchy is. Why would I go and question these bureaucrats the way I do? It's because I'm an anarchist. Now, I have had a number of people accuse me. They think that just like when I did the show with Pete a couple of weeks ago, when I said I had no dog in the race, he thinks that is if you say that, then you absolutely have a dog in the race, even though I'm the guy who says don't vote. So I have been consistent with that. So this, no matter how well no matter what your record is, there's always going to be people who are not going to take your word. And I'm not saying you have to take me at my word, but just look at the evidence. I thought the evidence was pretty clear that I'm a no vote kind of guy, especially at the federal level. And I reject the concept of having rulers. So I've confronted many bureaucrats on this, on the moral or the ethical issue, to show that governments are at base, even as they're supposed to function. Okay, we're not talking the advanced corruption of the impeached President Trump's administration. We're talking about just the way it's supposed to operate, that it is grossly criminal and immoral. There's always going to be people who are going to paint you with a different stripe. That's just, and some people, of course, and I think you know who the hell I'm talking about, have an ulterior motive. So what they'll do is, just like when the police department in Mesa stalked me, even though I came in as a member of the media. I mean, I literally just had a camera. This is the offending. So I went in with a camera as a member of the media and just wanted to ask some questions regarding their legal claims. So they, instead of answering the question, knowing that they can't answer the question. Oh, now I kind of, yeah, we'll just put that over there for now. Yeah, I just let everyone see the number. So we're only taking calls regarding anarchy and the nature of the beast. We're not talking. I don't want to field any calls today regarding court procedure. So what they did was they classified. They said that even though I just had a camera and I exhibited no violent behavior whatsoever, and there's never been a report of violence again, that I've participated in, doesn't matter. They still, because they're so afraid. Look, they don't like being questioned. So when you ask them questions, and it doesn't matter if you ask them, is this your operating presumption? See, they love to leave that stuff out. I always get what their operating presumption or foundational claim is. They admit it to me. I have dozens and dozens of call of shames that prove that. And then I just take that So I'm not accused of, and hey, and that's just the way to have a rational discussion with people. If you want to destroy someone's argument, know what the argument is first. And then I just ask leading questions and usually bring out that it's not based on evidence. So their foundational claim, by their admission, that's the thing that kills me here. I'm not making it up. You can go right, like when I talked to John Buttrick, he admitted that the application of federal law was arbitrary. Well, the exact phrase was largely arbitrary. So he admitted the application of the constitutional laws, it's arbitrary. I didn't make that up. It's on HD video. But instead of addressing John Buttrick's what they do is they spin it and they try to make it out like I'm not an anarchist. No, I'm a violent sovereign citizen. So instead of just addressing the argument, we'll just say that you're a sovereign citizen and all the baggage that comes with it. Doesn't matter. See, and this is, I think, when people use that, when prosecutors and lawyers when they use it, they know what baggage comes with it. When I am, or you, if you're an anarchist, if you are labeled a sovereign citizen, especially since they can't answer or prove their claim. So, what is the thought process here? I can't answer any questions regarding proving my claim, so I'll just say he's a sovereign citizen. I'll say because the DOJ or the FBI, they classify sovereign citizens as domestic terrorists. So that's what they're saying to you when they lump you in that you're a domestic terrorist. And I and others, we have done, all I've done is question them on their claims. Of course, you get the arguments, well, you don't have to prove it. I ask it in and out of court. In and out of court. When I confronted Scott Bales of the Supreme Court, we weren't in court. We were just, he was someone who was making a presentation at the ASU Law School, and I asked him a question. The rules that apply in court, they were not there. So remember, and now we've got this, also on the Supreme Court now is Bill Montgomery. And Bill Montgomery's official position on how the facts proven the laws apply was the same as Scott Bales, because they prosecute and put other people in prison. So you can imagine why Scott ran, or they ran interference. And then when I asked him questions in the rotunda after, he just laughed and walked away. Because how exactly does forcing other people into a prosecution into jail, how does that prove in any shape or form your foundational claim that your laws, your Constitution apply to me just because I'm physically in Arizona? It doesn't. So what they do is they smear you. Here they're smearing me, and I've dealt with this for a long time. And it doesn't matter if sovereign citizen types call the show. That's not what the show is about. That's not what I talk about. That's not my material. I am not a sovereign citizen. I'm the no citizen, no state guy. How you could see, there is no confusing me and my work with sovereign citizen stuff. It's deliberately done to avoid the argument. That's it. Because there's no way, and I've done the show a long time now, and I've spoken to many, many bureaucrats. I mean, an awful lot. And they admit what their foundational claim is, regardless of what someone may say on the internet. That's what they say. You have to deal with the claim they're actually making, not what someone on the internet thinks it should be. So I get their foundational claim. And when I ask them for the facts to prove it's true, the facts that support that and show it's true, it's valid, they either smear me for being a sovereign citizen, which I'm not. Yeah, the one whose first book, and it was about not being able to prove that they were citizens, period. I'm a sovereign citizen. When it comes down to what I've said so many times, and that is the facts. Facts are very, very stubborn things. The facts are what we call government. It's just men and women. That's it. They're men and women. There's an organization, but they're men and women who force strangers to give them money. And like I wrote in Government Indicted, if all you wanted to do to show that the organization is immoral and criminal, all you have to do is show that their actions are completely at odds with the stated end goal. That is to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But they're the first ones. Their whole support system is based on violating that. Yes, I know. They give themselves a free pass. But like Spooner said, any group of banditti can call themselves a court or a government and legalize their thefts, their crimes, which is exactly what they did. But the facts show it's a criminal organization. And what gets me is when you have this self-righteous moral grandstanding that people who benefit from the government structure, people like lawyers. Now, even the Bar Association, the courts have been aware for decades that the average person cannot afford a lawyer. So they like to say, well, you got to have a lawyer. You got to have legal representation. You have to have effective, qualified legal representation, or you're going to get screwed in this court system. But the average person cannot afford it. That's not something I'm making up. You can go right into Bar Association, ABA literature. That's why you have Gideon versus Wainwright, where in criminal situations they say, well, if you can't afford one, the court will appoint you counsel. So the average person cannot afford a lawyer. People I've spoken to, and I've done this on research online, and this is why I mentioned going to a lawyer and you have to mortgage your house. Because when you have lawyers that won't even look at you for less than $5,000, and they're telling you a trial is going to be $50,000, most people have to put a second mortgage on their house in order to pay the lawyer fees. And why can they command such incredibly high fees? Have you ever seen the inside of a lawyer's office? They're not stripped down. They're more opulent than a damn doctor's office. You can always tell the difference between a lawyer's office and a doctor's office, because the lawyer's office, no expense is spared. No expense. That's not all of them. Why are they able to command such an incredible high fee of $500 an hour or something, $250, $400, $500, $600 an hour or more? And I'm not talking just about because you're paying for a big firm. They have a violent monopoly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There is no rational argument. Lawyers enjoy a violently imposed monopoly. The government, on their behalf, will put people in jail, will prosecute people who are competition. You can only go to certain law schools, and to get that accreditation, boy, that dries up the price. I think it costs at least as much to get a law school degree as it does to get a medical degree. And you can't even, and the talent required for both is not even near comparable between a doctor and a lawyer. It's not even close, but it's costing you just as much for the education. So They have a violent monopoly. It's not something that the market decided. It was something that they decided to do. They did it. So unlike other professions, they believe they can self-regulate. So the lawyers regulate themselves. And then they have this righteous indignation that they feign outrage. I couldn't stand by. I just couldn't stand by and watch someone like Marc Stevens just do what he's doing. I felt compelled. You can sit here and you can catalog all the abuses. Is there moral indignation about the violent monopoly? Where is the moral outrage from lawyers that there is a monopoly? Oh, because they it's to their benefit. It is to their benefit that you look at the damage that is caused by lawyers. Where is the moral indignation and lawyers filing complaints against Stephen Myrie, who withheld hundreds and hundreds of documents, withheld information? Now, I might not even be a fan of the Bundys and what they did. I'm not saying I agree with them. I do believe that you're supposed to, consistent with their rhetoric, you're supposed to have a fair trial. Stephen Myrie withheld exculpatory evidence, and he's done it multiple times, many times. Where are the lawyers screaming at the Bar Association to have him disbarred? Where is the moral indignation there? Where is the moral indignation against the judges who allow these lawyers to get away with it? Now, it's not, you got a couple here and there. You got Larry Krasner in Philadelphia, Frank Rizzo's old town. You do. There's a few out there. But when Judge Kaczynski says that prosecutorial misconduct is at epidemic levels, only judges can stop it. Where is the moral outrage about all the prosecutorial misconduct? I don't see it. If anybody has a link, let me know. In fact, that's something we could talk about on the show. We're not talking about court procedure, though, today. 717-275-8941. The passcode is 123-3428. If you're aware of lawyers en masse having such moral outrage that prosecutors are always getting away with prosecutorial misconduct, I'd like to see it. That is real damage. You can see, you can point, and you can quantify the damage that these lawyers are causing. Are they going after the judges, allowing it to get away? Are there complaints against the judges? Well, we know where those go. We know where they go. Where is the moral indignation against the thousands and thousands and thousands of lawyers that are damaging people, these prosecutors that are damaging people? Where is the moral indignation when you have lawyers exerting such mental stress on people to get them to enter into a deal? As I've had to field calls like that, where on the way to the prelim, the lawyer stresses this kid to such a degree he breaks down. He's sobbing. He called me sobbing. He felt he had nothing else to do. The lawyer was pressuring him so much. The lawyer, even though he was paid, didn't even do the prelim. And there wasn't a shred of physical evidence. This is a situation where someone in Vegas was charged with drug possession, a felony, and there wasn't a single drop of drugs found. All they found was a large amount of cash, which is a very common thing. So where's the moral indignation of all these prosecutors who refuse to give people's cash back, even though no crime has been committed? Well, they're silent there because they're fellow lawyers. And it's just like cops. They stick together. Yeah. They stick together. So what do? They go after people who are not lawyers. Because we're the problem. We're the ones that are causing an epidemic of prosecutorial misconduct. It's us. See, I don't have a prison. I don't have contempt power. I don't use violence against people. Us non-lawyers don't do that. It's the lawyers that respond that rely on that. The lawyers, they do not get by on sheer talent. No. Some get by on reputation. That there's no question there. But to be commanding the average attorney's salary is because the market is artificially limited by a violent monopoly. Violent monopoly. Oh, but the non-lawyers are the problem. What is that? Sticking your finger in the dike? Is that the analogy that you could use there? And it gets back to what I was talking about. You're talking about people who make money off of a violent system. They had to pass laws again to keep attorneys from exerting pressure on vulnerable people. They actually had to pass laws about that. So that's why lawyers are not allowed to contact people in an accident or like a plane crash for at least 30 days. Why? Because lawyers were exerting undue influence on vulnerable people. Lawyers as a group. It was so bad, they had to make a law eventually against it. But it's the non-lawyers that are causing all the damage. It's the non-lawyers. If you don't, I don't remember the case off the top of my head, but it's easy enough to reference that. I think it was in 1977, or around the time lawyers weren't able to advertise until 1977, and I think it was near around that point where they passed initially the first federal law that lawyers had to wait at least 30 days to approach the victim of a tragedy. Imagine how bad it has to get, how much damage lawyers were causing before they came up and decided, because just like I can't remember that congressman, I know the wheels of justice move off pretty slow in this town, but my gosh, 2 years to get a door? The damage had to be so horrific and so easily quantified, but then to actually pass a law prohibiting lawyers from doing that, because lawyers as a group were hurting the public to such a degree a law was necessary. Actual damage you can point to, just like prosecutorial misconduct. You don't have non-lawyers committing prosecutorial misconduct. Nope. So, all this righteous indignation. If you ever hear a lawyer spouting off about the dangers of non-lawyers, oh my gosh, the sky is going to come crashing down. The world's going to end. Society will end. Dogs and cats living together. Mass cat. Hey, don't buy it. Question him on some of the things that I've mentioned. Is it really? Is it really true that lawyers like yourself, you're not allowed to approach the victim, of an accident? You got to wait. Yeah, it's true. Sadly, it's true. So overwhelmingly, the damage caused to the public is by lawyers. At least as far as the courts are concerned. It's the lawyers. They're the ones that infest it. They're the ones that took over. And to scream that the world is going to come to an end. Oh, no, they've got to be stopped. No, the lawyers need to be stopped. The lawyers with and without robes that deliberately withhold information and deny someone a fair trial. Like Ken Anderson. There's Ken Anderson. I can't imagine. I know I had some moral outrage at Ken Anderson. This SOB knowingly put an innocent man in jail. He got 10 in prison. Sorry, prison. The guy did 25 years in prison because a lawyer deliberately put an innocent man in jail. He got less than 10 days in prison. Rather, the guy went to prison. Ken Anderson did less than 10 days in jail, and that was it. I doubt he even served it. That's why I was going to talk about advanced corruption. It's going to kind of be like a theme of the show. Why anarchy, no leaders. No one has a moral right to do the immoral. People want to talk about how stupid my legal claims are. Imagine someone arguing, because that's what they're doing, that people called government have a moral right to be immoral. They have a moral and legal right to be immoral. Yeah. Because if I was to force strangers in the community to give me money, I'm a criminal, right? Are we all in agreement with that? Well, if that applies to me, logical consistency, it applies to everyone. But we know it doesn't. And you've got your cheerleaders out there. Don't look behind the curtain. Don't challenge the foundation. And they try to lawyer it up. It's philosophy. It's a political question. It doesn't matter if the prosecution's making that claim. It doesn't matter if the IRS is making the claim. It doesn't matter if they're admitting that's the claim. Ignore it. Don't look at the foundation. We've created this artificial line. This is the line. You can't go past that. If you went to law school, you'd understand. Right? If we just went to law school and understood like the lawyers did, we know you're not. Don't question the foundation. Don't question it. I say that's irrational and that's not effective. And I've defended myself quite a few times, and it's been very effective. All right, I got more I want to get to, but I do want to take some calls. Again, I'm not going to take any calls today regarding court procedure. It's got to be just on the subject matter of the show for today, people. So let's see what we got over here. Who do we got up first? We got area code 604. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, sounds like you're outside.
Marc, can you hear me? No, I'm on my Beats headphones. Let me turn that off. They're all fired up today.
Yeah, you got to get a better call signal. It's horrific.
Better, hold on. I'm doing it now.
I am
there. Is that better?
That's better. So, what was your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Matt from Vancouver.
Matt from Vancouver. So, what do you have for us today regarding what I've been talking about?
Well, not much. I was just going to give you some updates and let the show go on.
Well, yeah, the updates. Give me the updates on an email.
Oh, on an email?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll listen to the show, man. I like to listen to you all fired up. I 100% agree with you. I think this legal system and the police system is just so corrupt, and our rights are being infringed. I notice it, every day. These cops just pulling people over for victimless crimes and just extorting our money. And I got another ticket, 11 o'clock at night, taking a left turn. Like it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, and if you're not one of the privileged elite, it's even worse. So the poorer you are, the worse the system is going to treat you.
It is. And you can't talk any reason to these cops or prosecutors, or I have lawyer friends. They just buy into the system. Like I know I have a friend that I've known all my life, and he just buys into the system. That like they can't see beyond like what they've been indoctrinated with and like how they earn their living. It's all to them, and it's all okay.
Well,
and that's the sad part, that they just keep going on in this in this machine, helping the machine out and not seeing the error in their ways.
Well, you're not going to get somebody to challenge the way they make money, because the average person doesn't have the moral fortitude to do that. They're not going to, and even if they realize it's wrong, they're not going to stop. They got a family to feed, I mean, even if you look at it from a utilitarian, they have to. It's kind of like the argument. I mean, I have to use a computer, so there's going to be animal exploitation, and there's not a single thing I can do about it. As long as I want to use a computer, I can't be ethically consistent. And so that's that's some of the ways that they're looking at. It's one of the ways they're looking at it. I think most people just don't give a damn. They don't care. It's like the impeached president. He never has, and he never will give a damn about anything other than his own pocketbook. That he doesn't care about anything but money. And sadly, most people are like that. So they're not going to examine the way they make money because it could be immoral. So just ignore it.
Well, I mean, I don't think everybody's like that, but I'd say 99.9% of the population is like that. There are a lot of people that quit being cops when they realize, they're not doing good. I know four people that quit being doctors, like Western medicine, educated, full-fledged doctors, when they realized that they weren't helping each other. They gave up their career and either got into like naturally helping people, or I know some people that became yoga teachers and got into natural health after their 8 years of university when they realized that they're not helping people. So there is a chance. But for the most part, I think people that are involved in this are either too stupid and small-minded and can only think of their paycheck and survival mode, which society and the system has created. It's put us in the position where we're in survival mode and struggling to pay our mortgage and keep a roof head and food on the table. It's created that so people don't want to look at how they make their money. And then they're too lazy to go and find alternative ways to make an income and support themselves. They'd rather go on being immoral and bury their head in the sand like an ostrich, not dealing with the truth of their actions and how they make their money in the immoral fashion, and that they're doing more wrong.
I would say that there's a lot of people that if they were inclined to look at how they're making the money and they realized it was immoral, that they're in a situation where they're not able to stop doing it because they have bills. They've got to support their family. They've got children, and they're stuck. I know what that's like. So
they're paycheck to paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah. This gets still some background noise, so I'm going to respond to the last part, and after I'm going to have to let you go, but I will respond to the other part that you said.
All right, I'll call again and I'll send you an email.
I appreciate the call. It's Matt in Vancouver. I think, especially when he's talking about bureaucrats, especially lawyers, reality is dictated by what a judge says. So the merits of an argument are completely dependent on whether they believe a judge will accept it. Nothing else matters. And so if they go in and the judge denies it or rejects the argument, and they could be completely wrong, that then changes the lawyer's reality. Well, it wasn't a good argument. No, it was a good argument. You had a bad judge. You have appellate courts because judges make bad decisions. They make bad and wrong rulings. So just because a judge says this, I'm rejecting this argument, doesn't mean it's bad. Again, Gitlis versus Commissioner, tax court judge rejected Gitlis's, he rejected his argument as frivolous. The Court of Appeals rejected it. Lawyers, I guess that means the argument is wrong. No, the argument was spot on. The lawyers were wrong. The judge was wrong. You can still determine the merits of an argument on its own without having to filter it through a judge. Whether a judge accepts it or not is not deciding whether the argument has merit. The structure of the argument does, the facts, and the logic of it. That's what dictates whether it's a good argument or not. And that's a, you know, that's a, hey, I've spoken to enough lawyers to know it's all dictated until the judge accepts it. It's not true. So we've all, I've heard that a lot. So, hey, we've got area code 530. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Is that Mark?
It is.
Chuck in Chico, California.
Chuck in Chico. Did you say Chico?
Yeah, a.k.a. Chico Chuck.
Well, what do you have for us today regarding the subject matter of the show?
Well, it has nothing to do. It was traffic.
Oh, all right. We're going to have to do that. We're going to have to do that in another show, or you can email me about that. I want to keep it just on topic today.
Yeah, you emailed. I bought your templates, and you emailed me back and said to get on the show. So I did.
I'm sorry.
On the subject.
And I apologize, but email or get me on the next show.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Will do.
All right. I appreciate that. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to keep the show on subject. We have area code 951. Looks like we got Riverside. 951, you're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm bumming it, man.
Hey. Welcome back to the show. What do you have for us in line with what I've been discussing?
Well, you've been saying the topic, and I'm not sure what the topic is.
I hope you're the only one. Well, the topic is the system, the government, not focusing on necessarily just the courts, but the system and the immoral nature of the system, and how you have people who are part of that system exercising this moral outrage when it's very minor, non-criminal, non-violent things, while there are serious things being done all around them, and they're oblivious to it or just turn a blind eye.
Well, I'm out here in Riverside, right?
Right.
And I've been reading your book, and the part on the psychology, I think, really hits home, and it's pretty correct, pretty dead on. I, have been asking people, it's like I met this one guy who said that he was Special Forces, and I'm right here next to Edwards Air Force Base. And he said that he was Special Forces and that he rides his mountain bike in the Sycamore, I think it's called Sycamore Canyon State Preserve. And he does it for his PTSD. Because I asked him, I said, have you ever killed anybody? And he said, yeah. And I said, does it bother you? And he goes, yeah. And he's all like, that's why I'm doing this. And riding his bike in the park to, kind of get his mind off of it and get out of the angst. And I said, well, do you ever talk to your children about it? And he said, yeah, actually I do. And it's the amount of people out here. I mean, ever since I went to school to get my Class A CDL, and I'm just waiting for it in the mail. I got it on the 10th, so I'm just waiting for it in the mail. And the amount of people that tailgate and drive aggressively, and it's the effect that it has on people, and the violence that is just, I mean, Riverside's one of the most violent places I've ever been to. I've gotten into more fights here in Riverside than anywhere else. And I mean, that's San Ysidro, San Diego, Logan Heights,
Yeah, I mean,
You
well,
know,
we don't need to get into all of it. I when I'm in Riverside, I want to beat the hell out of you myself. So it might be you. Something landed. Well, Riverside is bad, but
well, it's not just me. It's not just towards me. I mean, it's people the way they treat everybody else. I was talking to this guy that was the next door neighbor to my mother's. Right now, it's like there's a lot of anti-Semitism out here, and you know, I think that my mother identifying as Jewish and people, you know, identify me as being a Jew, and oh, it's all the Jews' fault, you know, and it's kind of it's really kind of insane because I've had people like I had this somebody from the neighborhood that my mother lived in called the city to code enforcement to complain about me having too many yard sales.
okay, but what do we got to tie this into what we're talking about? We're talking about government aggression.
Well, that's just it. It bleeds into everyone else. I mean, there's so many people like the neighbor. I was talking to him about how government gets their money through violence and you know, it's called taxes, but it's really just extortion. And he goes, well, you know, my whole family has been into education and you know, we make our money off of, you know, taxes, because he was putting a sign in his front yard for more taxes. And so he's all like, well, so I don't complain about it. And I'm all like, so because you and your family profit from the extortion of everyone else, that makes it okay? No comment. You know, just silence and kind of got moody, and that's it. The guy that I was talking to with the PTSD, same thing, got moody and just kind of let go ride his bike.
Well, what are you supposed to do? The thing, but home bumming it. I fully appreciate the frustration that people have. You know, I mean, I know I did a show years ago in New Hampshire, and I couldn't be nearly as hopeful as this other guy was, because, well, he was making money hand over fist, just saying whatever needs to be said to get clicks. But I don't have a rosy, pair of glasses to put on here. We are almost powerless. Well, what do you at the federal level, after what happened with the impeached president being elected, it's almost like they drive you to a point where there's nothing to do, and you other than say you got to vote for anybody but that impeached president. You've got to get this SOB out of here. There's so little that we can actually do. I mean, I try to help, do something to empower and give ideas, but I'm doing a pretty poor job at that. I've only gotten a handful of people that would actually go to a city council meeting and challenge them on the validity of them as an organization. It's only been like maybe 4 of us have actually did it in all these years. I mean, it's you're stuck spinning your wheels because you're so busy just trying to make your rent or your mortgage, and you're so busy working and spending time just to keep your family afloat. It's like, what else can I do?
And the pay is so low. Oh my God. I can't believe it.
There is a house.
It's just, they're not paying anybody anything.
There is a house that is selling in Irvine, California for $440 a square foot. That is more than double the average price of a house in Phoenix. And the house prices here are skyrocketing because so many people live in California. I was stunned. I think $440 a square foot. That wasn't a misprint. I couldn't believe how much money this house was. And the fact, I've heard reports, and I can't necessarily verify this, but it seems to make sense, that the main driver of homelessness in Los Angeles is rent. The rent is so high.
Yeah.
And they want to point fingers.
High and the wages are so low.
Oh yeah, but if you follow the impeached president, everything is great. It's the best economy ever. Yet you've got a homeless crisis, people losing their home because of rent being too high or because of medical debt, which is the number one reason for bankruptcies in the United States is medical debt. And don't get me started there. So it's like things are set so that you feel like what's that song Butterfly Wings? Something despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage, and that's kind of what your life seems to amount to. Like, is this all I could? All I'm going to do is claw and scratch and do my best just to break even every month. What the hell am I supposed to do?
Yes.
When I can't work.
Yes, that's what they want. That's exactly what they want. Either that or move into an RV and, live on the cheap, and hopefully you won't get enough tickets. You'll avoid the police enough to where you won't get so many tickets to where you lose your license or, something like that. It's really, the thing is what kills me is how many people accept it because they profit from it. They profit.
Sure.
It helps them.
Why would that surprise you?
Anyone else.
Why would that surprise you that money corrupts? I'm not saying it's a yin and yang kind of thing. Money absolutely corrupts. People will kill a spouse to get money. So I don't want to hear any of these things. It's not an anti-capitalist thing. Money corrupts. It's an inanimate object, but it has a psychological effect on people. And so if you've got when someone dies, one of the first things they do is look at the family, because most people kill by their family. A good percentage. And so if a wife, let's say, dies on a younger wife, let's say under 70 dies, if there's a life insurance policy, the first person they're looking at is going to be the spouse. So money absolutely corrupts and brings out the worst in people. There's no question there. I don't think anybody would dispute. Well, I know one would dispute it because that's what they do. But is the system? Look, I will say this about.
Hold on. There's been studies where they go ahead and they flash money in front of people's faces or a picture of it, right? And it changes their brain chemistry. It has like a dopamine effect when they see it. They just see it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it. I've never been like just all into money and stuff things. I don't understand that. For me, I went ahead and I got into business. I built my own business and I realized, when the city came and shut me down for improper land use, which was just an excuse to protect their franchisee agreements with the trash companies, that that small businesses are regulated out of existence.
Well, yeah, they can be, but I understand. I'm almost out of time, tough guy, and I'd like to get at least another call in before I'm out of time. But I get, it. I'll say this: compound interest is your enemy. That is something that to be avoided at all costs, if possible, because it can ruin your life. So unless
you have a bank account getting compound interest on it, take care,
please.
Man.
2%, give me a break. No, I'm talking about credit card companies. Hey, I got to let you go, but it's good to talk with you again.
All right.
Appreciate it. Home bumming it in California. I will say this before I get another call. Do your best to avoid Synchrony Bank. Oh my gosh, one of the worst. I calculated the interest. It was easily close to 45%. And you could, I'll pay extra. They won't apply it. They will not apply an overpayment to the balance. They are one of the worst ones. They will carry it over so that they can keep charging you more and more interest. They will not apply it to the principal. I was shocked at the paperwork I had seen. It was a $4,000 bill and someone made a $2,000 payment. The monthly payment went down like $3 or $4. I looked at the interest. I couldn't believe the interest they were paying. It was horrific. Compound interest, really bad when you're the one paying it. If you're getting it, well, of course you're not going to complain about compound interest if you're profiting off of it. All right, we got one last call. We got area code 916. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from? Looks like Sacramento.
Hey, Marc. This is Atik. I've called you before on the show many times.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling again. I don't have much time, and I'm trying to keep the show to the topic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem. Your topic today was about anarchy, right? Basically.
Anarchy and the fact that what we call government is a criminal organization, and the righteous indignation or moral outrage that some of its actors have when against people who are completely harmless.
Right. So, Marc, so do you believe in any kind of government at all?
I believe in, if you can have the present system that you have now. I'm not a fan, I don't believe you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You could keep the structure and all the services. You just get rid of the violent, immoral support, so that you, instead of using a stick and violence to get support, you use more of a carrot. So you can have the same structure and the same services, but they're provided on a non-violent basis.
So you like our current government system, like the structure, but you just don't like the non-harmless acts, right? Which I don't like them either. Traffic, whatever, IRS, whatever, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that, like I've said when I first started doing this, it's not the services that are the problem, it's the manner in which they're provided. And what I go through in the book is to show, like what Home Bumminett was talking about, the psychological effects where you have violent domination with no consequences, no responsibility. That's what we're going through now. I mean, you see the impeached president wasn't removed, so he started retaliating and committing felonies at an even more fury, and even in starting firing and retaliating against witnesses, which are felonies. So yeah, I want to remove the violent domination and no accountability. That's the one thing I think if we remove that, it'll work as it's supposed to, which is to protect life, liberty, and property.
Right, and I 100% agree with that. But what's your solution? I mean, I thought about this long and hard. There just is no solution. We can never get rid of evil. All this is driven by evil, right?
Well, I'm not saying that it'll be perfect. I just know that the overwhelming majority of the abuse that we suffer now is because of the psychological impact from violently dominating other people with no accountability to them. So you're still, one of the examples was this. Judges are important to have. You need to have somebody who understands the principles of trade and whatever, and can settle the dispute. Okay. Should they have immunity? Blanket immunity? No, absolutely not. No. If a doctor doesn't get immunity, someone making decisions on a controversy shouldn't get immunity. So it's things like that you introduce accountability and transparency, so it's easier to hold people accountable. And if the people are outraged, there's no problem withholding your payment because they don't have a mechanism to enforce it.
Yes. Marc, do you have any successors or no? Like, if you were gonna, now, God forbid, if you were to die, I'm not saying you should die, but do you have anybody lined up to replace you?
No, I don't work in a manner like that. People think there are some jokers out there who think that I'm the head of some kind of movement. I'm literally,
no, of course not. Yeah.
No,
you're a great guy, but I'm just worried that if we were to lose you, Marc, man, that would be a tremendous loss to our society. Well, you're a great man.
I do appreciate that. I don't think that there's a lot of people, there's
not a lot of people out there that have the knowledge, the intelligence, intellectual, you're just a not even a rare breed. You are rarer than that.
No,
And I'm just afraid that, man, that
I think
I'm just afraid that we're going to lose you one day, and we're going to be stuck with it. I think you are the best hope.
No.
For
No. I
that.
appreciate that, but I gotta go ahead and disagree with you there. I'm not, it's within each person to do something and to get a movement and maybe have it have legs. I'm not an advocate of picking up a gun unless it's necessary, and even picking up a gun is not going to bring us to a voluntary society. I don't think picking up a gun is going to get us to a voluntary society. It never has. It never, I don't think that ignoring them is going to that you can't ignore it and have it go away. I mean, I gave the example of Nazi Germany. The Jews and the gypsies and the homosexuals, you couldn't just ignore them out of existence. There's a combination of things I think are going to happen. I think you have to get involved at the local level, unfortunately, and you got to do something to change the policy. I know it sucks to look at it that way, but we got to look at it practically. What can we do? I do what I can to educate. I encourage people, go to a city council. You don't have to take my word for it. Just go to a city council and see for yourself. It's just like when I first started doing this years ago, people will come back and say, my gosh, Mark, almost exactly what you said was going to happen. The judge used almost every single word. It was surreal. It was weird. It was like a deja vu thing. Every single, even almost down to the word. How could you do that? Well, it's not anything unique to me. But anyway, I'm running out of time here. I appreciate that sentiment, but I'm not that guy, and I don't seek to wear that kind of mantle. There is one that is a self-proclaimed that he's done more for the world, and if he wasn't around, that the cause of liberty would be set back 2,000 years. He explores the grandest reaches of human please. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a skeptic, and I'm not afraid to do it publicly. There's probably a lot of people who are very skeptical and know the same stuff. They just don't want to take the step to go and do it publicly. And because if you do it publicly, now you're inviting all sorts of derision and attacks, and people are going to want to put you in jail, and they want to shut you up. They want to protect what's theirs.
No, I mean, I strive to be like you, Mark, but I just never can, because I don't know. You're just too good at what you do, and even though I'm watching your show and I want to be just like you, I want to be like just like it, but I just can't.
Yes, you can.
I don't know. It's just really difficult.
What I do is look. In a nutshell, I ask questions. The claim isn't true until it's proved. Until the one making the claim proves it's true. And it's also my job to take the argument and punch holes in it. I mean, it's a matter of just being, this is nothing new. I may be applying it to a taboo subject. Yeah, I'll give you that. There's not too many people that probably do it publicly. I'm not afraid to go into the ASU law school. Some may, I'm not going to address that, but so, I am more than happy and willing to address the ASU law school. Scott Bales gave a pretty good talk. I don't remember what it was, but he was a pretty good discussion. And I had no pride. It was easy to go and confront him in front of all those lawyers. Yeah, did they laugh at me? Yeah, but it comes with the territory. It's not because I made a fool of myself. It's because he laughed, and just like, drones, and, they have to, he's the authority figure, so they follow him. So just study basic logic. What makes an argument valid? And be a skeptic. Just get good at asking questions. And you do that by studying basic principles of logic and actually applying the principle. You're asking leading questions. What questions do I have to ask to meet, first know what your result is. If my result is I want to get them to admit that they don't have a case, or they don't have that their claim is not provable. And so I have to have a roadmap. Okay, yeah, I got to know exactly what it is, because I don't want to be like Larkin Rose and just start screaming, straw man, because he doesn't know how to argue anything else. So what the argument is, right, and then how do I get, what questions do I ask that are going to bring out that is not a valid claim, that it doesn't have evidence to support, and it may be a non sequitur, something like that.
Right. Okay. And then also, Mark, I asked, if you can on your shows from now on, just state the time and date that you do them, because I always forget. Because I'm in California and I always forget. If you can just always put a disclaimer, hey, this is Mark Stevens live today. This is such a time. I would appreciate that. I'm pretty sure others would too.
I'll put it on.
We always forget.
I'll put it on the website. Yeah, someone mentioned it to me. Rob in Seattle mentioned that I have to post Wednesday show still, and when I do that in this show, I will I'll put the new call number on. But the times are up there, so the times are always there on the website markstevens.net. But the new phone number, I need to put that up there. So I'm totally out of time, but I got to let you go. I appreciate the call.
Oh, sure. So no problem, Mark. Thank you, man. Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too. Yeah, I just a regular guy. I don't think anybody should be, especially me, put on a pedestal like that, because you see what it happens. It certainly has a corrupting, because someone's going to see the opportunity to take advantage of someone. If someone is looking at them the way Atik was describing me, it's easy to manipulate and take advantage of those people. Of course, there are lawyers out there thinking that that's all I do anyway, but whatever. Yeah, I have to value the opinion, and I don't. So I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get to everyone today, but I'm trying to do my best to keep the show focused on a certain topic instead of going all over the place. So I think we did that. I don't mean any offense to anybody, but that's we've been talking about that. So we got to start covering some new ground here, so I don't mean any offense to anybody. So, but that's more what I'm looking at doing. And I wanted to get into this advanced corruption, and it's just been, every day it's something else with this impeached president. But my gosh, ever since the sham acquittal, it's like a double fire hose. It's just, my gosh. And this was fast and furious pardons. And they had one where one of his, there was a fundraiser. A record fundraiser was held last week. And a billionaire who worked with Michael Milken, and they raised a record amount of money for the impeached president's reelection campaign. And they asked him to pardon Michael Milken, who was a friend of Donald Trump. And he's the old ex-governor, the impeached governor of Illinois. It was just Bernie Kerik, one of the most even Giuliani has admitted that Kerik was, he was wrong. He didn't say criminal, but even Giuliani had to publicly admit a number of times, Kerik, not good. And he was still pardoned. So now he's selling pardons. My gosh. Just in your face corruption, blatant in your face, because they are just the corrupt men and forcing strangers to give them money. They've got no accountability. They can do literally whatever they want. He's absolutely right. He could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would do anything to hold him accountable at all. And anyone who did try, even to make it look good, it wouldn't go anywhere. It would just be another hoax. So maybe I'll get into that more, and I'll have a list. I could probably sit here for an hour straight and just scratch the surface on the number of scandals and crimes the impeached President Trump has committed while he's in office. This is advanced corruption. This is stuff, Obama's corruption. A lot of it was behind the scenes. This is in your face corruption. So. So I'll probably have to talk about that more on Wednesday, because I'm totally out of time for today. Appreciate everyone tuning in to the big show today. I will be back live on Wednesday. Well, I'll see what I can do. If I'm able to prepare, I will do just a whole show on the advanced corruption of the impeached President Trump's administration. But till then, salud.